It's time for the media to admit that they blew the whole thing way out of proportion, because as always with media these days, they don't cover what's most important, just what's most fun to watch. News outlet consistently reduces everything that happens in the world to who the president of America is. Get rid of it. It's just thoughtless, reflexive team politics. If the headlines in your preferred news outlet routinely feature words like shreds, destroys, pummels, bashes, your outlet is a partisan piece of shit.
Bill Maher just flipped the script, and this time, he's coming for the media that used to praise him. No more polite critiques. He's lighting up the left-wing press for what it really is, a fear factory dressed up as journalism. He's not just exposing the headlines, he's torching the entire machine. The panic selling, the fake moral outrage, the obsession with keeping Americans terrified 24/7. Maher says it's not news. It's psychological warfare for profit. And the wildest part? People who once hated him are now nodding along. Because when a Hollywood insider turns on his own, you know the lies have gone too far. This isn't a segment. This is a reckoning. And I've got the clips to prove every savage word. Let's get into it.
Every problem in the world isn't caused by the president. When that train derailed in East Palestine, it wasn't because Trump deregulated the brakes, and the container ship didn't hit the bridge because of Biden's woke DEI agenda. These aren't news stories. They're storylines pumped into your bubble.
Bill Maher just detonated another media illusion, and this time, he's torching the left's favorite weapon, manufactured outrage. He kicks things off by dragging CNN and their echo chamber friends for spinning a tiny campus protest into a national crisis. According to them, every college kid suddenly hates Israel. But Maher drops the truth bomb: those protests, barely a fraction of 1% of all US students. And that's the game. Take a microscopic event, slap on some panic, loop it on TV, and boom, you've got a fake movement. Maher's not buying it, and he's furious that the media is turning fringe chaos into mainstream fiction. This isn't journalism. It's mass manipulation dressed in moral outrage. He's calling out the addiction to clicks, the obsession with fear, and the blatant distortion of reality. And then, he goes even harder. What he says next doesn't just call them out, it exposes them. Stay locked in.
Always be aware that once the news became a profit division of media companies, they stopped being in the news business and are now in the audience stroking business.
Bill Maher is tearing the mask off the media's favorite game, and he's naming names. Flip on MSNBC or NPR, and you'd swear the apocalypse is live streaming. Non-stop ICE protests, panic headlines, and Trump blamed for every thunderstorm and stubbed toe. Maher sees it for what it is, a never-ending melodrama with a cartoon villain and a script designed to keep you scared, angry, and addicted. He's done pretending this is news. Maher flat-out calls it media malpractice, the kind that warps public perception, reduces every complex issue to Trump bad, and spins chaos where nuance should be. This isn't journalism, it's theater. And the media, they're not reporting the fall of America, they're performing it. He's had enough of the fear porn cycle, the faux moral outrage, and the constant gaslighting. And now, he's calling it out in brutal fashion. What he exposes next? It's a mic drop moment. Stay with me.
Never trust the initial reports. The media cares way more about being first than being right.
Bill Maher isn't just going after the noise, he's going after the hypocrisy at the heart of modern journalism. And he's not wrong. It's downright disturbing how some of the most polished, Ivy League-trained journalists, once sworn to truth and objectivity, are now churning out clickbait like social media interns chasing clout. These aren't fringe vloggers or partisan ranters. They're the so-called neutral gatekeepers of truth. But Maher's calling out the dirty secret. When legacy media starts chasing clicks like influencers, they're not informing the public. They're performing for them. The line between serious reporting and digital theater? Gone. And the most twisted part? At least the YouTubers admit they're biased. Mainstream outlets pretend to be above it all while playing the exact same game. And that's what has Maher fuming. It's not just a failure of journalism, it's a betrayal of trust. He's not ranting, he's sounding the alarm. Because when the watchdogs become the circus, the truth doesn't just get lost, it gets sold. What Maher uncovers next? It's a brutal wake-up call. don't blink. Bill Maher didn't just hit the nail on the head, he drove it straight through the heart of the media's biggest cell phone. As the 2024 election heated up, MSNBC and CNN practically turned into the Trump news network. Every hour, every panel, every breaking alert was drenched in Trump mania. Scandal here, speech there, and tweets dissected like sacred texts. You'd think he was the only name on the ballot. And here's where it gets wild. Kamala Harris? Barely a whisper. No spotlight on her agenda. No deep dives into her platform, just a constant echo chamber of Trump, Trump, Trump. Maher sees it for what it is. A media addiction so toxic, they couldn't stop feeding the very man they claimed to fear. In trying to bury Trump, they built him a throne. Every hysterical headline, every overcooked segment handed him exactly what he needed: attention. And guess what? That obsessive noise helped him stage the ultimate comeback. Maher's not just criticizing coverage, he's exposing the media's role in engineering their own nightmare. They didn't defeat Trump, they rebooted him. And the irony? It might be the biggest plot twist in modern political history. Bill Maher sees right through the media's obsession, and he's calling it out with brutal precision. Even now, years after leaving office, the left-leaning press still can't stop blaming Trump for everything. The economy's shaky. Trump. A hurricane hits. Somehow, Trump. ICE carries out a raid. Must be Trump pulling the strings from a secret bunker. But here's the truth. Maher's shining a light on. Trump may have set the tone with tough immigration policies, but he's not the one coordinating tactical ICE operations in real time. That job belongs to people like Tom Homan, the former acting ICE director who actually designed and executed many of those enforcement strategies. Yet the media barely whispers his name. Why? Because Trump makes a better villain. He's familiar, he's polarizing, and most importantly, he drives ratings. It's not about accountability, it's about theatrics. Ignoring the real players like Homan in favor of Trump-centric outrage proves just how hollow the coverage really is. Maher's not just critiquing spin, he's exposing a media system that chooses drama over depth. And when the headlines become more about feeding emotions than revealing facts, that's not journalism. That's propaganda dressed up for prime time. Bill Maher isn't just fed up with media hype, he's tearing into the ideological rot at the core of it. It's not just about chasing profit anymore. It's about pushing a worldview, packaging opinion as fact, and filtering reality through a rigid political lens. Outlets like MSNBC don't even pretend anymore. It's a full-blown echo chamber where conservative thought isn't debated, it's deleted. And while CNN occasionally tries to play dress-up with balance, it's mostly for show. One token conservative stacked against a squad of liberal pundits, cornered, interrupted, and outnumbered. It's not a debate, it's a beatdown. And Maher sees it for what it is, a rigged performance designed to look fair while pushing the same partisan narrative. This isn't journalism, it's narrative management. A carefully controlled pipeline of selective outrage and one-sided storytelling that doesn't inform, it indoctrinates. And in a democracy, Maher warns, that kind of manipulation doesn't just mislead, it corrupts the public mind. He's not just criticizing media bias, he's exposing how these institutions have turned from watchdogs into gatekeepers, controlling what people think they know. And that, Maher argues, is far more dangerous than any politician. And this is why Bill Maher cuts through the noise like no one else. While the rest of the media carefully dances around criticism, cloaked in vague half-measures, Maher charges in with names, receipts, and zero patience for phoniness. He doesn't generalize, he targets. CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times. He calls them out by name over and over again for spinning narratives, manufacturing outrage, and poisoning public discourse under the banner of journalism. That kind of raw honesty, it's practically extinct in mainstream media. And that's what sets Maher apart. He's not playing for a team, he's holding all of them accountable. If more journalists had even a shred of that backbone, maybe the news wouldn't feel like a propaganda parade. But they don't. So people are walking away from cable panels and polished newsrooms and heading straight to long-form, unfiltered platforms like Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn, where messy, real conversations still exist. No corporate filter, no ideological leash, just authenticity. That mass exodus, it's not a glitch. It's a message. The public doesn't want spin. They want truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And Bill Maher, he's one of the few left actually willing to say it out loud. Bill Maher has been shouting from the rooftops for years, and the evidence is now inescapable. The media outlets we once trusted, the CNNs, the MSNBCs, the New York Times, and others, have lost their way. What happened? Simple. They've become addicted to one thing and one thing only: speed. Speed over truth. Speed over facts. Speed over integrity. And now, that addiction is wrecking whatever shred of credibility they had left. It's no longer about responsible journalism. It's about being first, no matter the cost. Look, if you're paying attention to what's happening in the media today, you can see it. The media giants are racing each other to be the first to drop a breaking news bomb on your timeline or TV screen. But in this frenzy, they've forgotten the core of what they're supposed to be doing: verifying information, double-checking sources, and ensuring that what they're reporting is accurate. And as we've seen time and time again, that rush to hit send or go live can have catastrophic consequences. Just take a look at the CNN Scaramucci disaster from 2017. Remember that? CNN, in all its glory, rushed out with a story claiming that a Senate committee was investigating a Russian investment fund with ties to none other than Trump officials, including Anthony Scaramucci. It was juicy. It had all the makings of a scandal. The media smelled blood, and they pounced. But guess what? They didn't have their facts straight. They didn't lock it down. No thorough verification, no airtight sourcing, just raw, unrefined speculation. And within 24 hours, the story was pulled. CNN issued a formal apology, and several journalists were forced to resign. But here's the kicker: this wasn't just a one-time slip-up. This wasn't some accidental oops. No, this was institutional failure at its finest. CNN didn't just fail to get the story right, they failed to ask themselves one simple question: do we really know this to be true? And when they couldn't answer that question with confidence, they should have waited. They didn't, and the damage was done. Fast forward to 2019, and MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell, the so-called trusted anchor, went on live television and dropped an even bigger bombshell. He claimed, based on a single anonymous source, that Donald Trump had financial ties to Russian oligarchs via Deutsche Bank. The implications were massive. The stakes were high. This was a potential smoking gun that could send shockwaves through the political landscape. But there was one little problem. It wasn't true. O'Donnell didn't have confirmation. He didn't have a second source. Hell, he didn't even have a shred of solid evidence. It was just pure, uncut speculation dressed up as breaking news. The public ate it up. The media machine went into overdrive. But when the story collapsed, as we all knew it would, O'Donnell retracted it in what can only be described as a weak, oops, my bad apology. But here's the thing. An apology doesn't erase the damage. It doesn't undo the headlines that spread like wildfire across social media. The retraction doesn't go viral. The lie sticks. The drama sticks. And that false narrative, it embeds itself in the public consciousness. It's like trying to wash away permanent marker from a whiteboard with a paper towel. This is the broader problem that Bill Maher and many others are sounding the alarm about. The media has become so obsessed with being first that they've thrown accuracy, fairness, and due diligence out the window. Every breaking story is treated like a race, where the only prize is who can shout the loudest and quickest. But in this rush, the truth is a casualty. How often have you seen a headline hit your feed and thought, wait, that doesn't sound right, only to have the media paraded around like gospel truth? A few hours later, after the damage is done, they might quietly retract the story, issue a correction, or bury it on page 30. But by then, the damage is already done. The false narrative is already out there, swirling in the minds of millions. And it's not just about embarrassing slip-ups, it's about trust. The trust that was once the cornerstone of journalism. The media's job is to inform, not to sensationalize. They're supposed to be truth seekers, not truth benders. When the media is constantly dropping the ball, it creates a void. And that void is filled with conspiracy theories, misinformation, and a dangerous culture of skepticism. People stop trusting the media and they start seeking answers elsewhere. Answers that often lead them down dangerous rabbit holes of radicalism and polarization. But this isn't just about ratings. This isn't just about getting clicks. This is about a breakdown in the very essence of journalism. When the rush to be first overrides the need to be right, it erodes public trust. It fractures the media's credibility, leaving behind a disillusioned public that is more likely to retreat into their own ideological echo chambers. So here's the ugly truth. As long as newsrooms are driven by the need for instant gratification, we're going to keep seeing this cycle of sensationalism, half-baked reporting, and damage control. The race to be first will always come at the expense of the truth. And every time the media takes shortcuts, it costs us all. If these networks genuinely cared about restoring their integrity, they'd take a step back. They'd slow down, verify the facts, and take the time to do the job right. But that would mean sacrificing speed for accuracy. It would mean sacrificing clickbait headlines for thoughtful, well-researched reporting. And I'm sorry, but that's just not what drives ratings these days. This is why you should be skeptical every time a breaking story flashes across your screen. Don't take it at face value. Don't swallow it whole. The media has shown us time and time again that they'll burn the truth if it means getting there first. They'll throw out headlines, drop bombshells, and capitalize on outrage, whether the story is fully baked or not. So next time you see a headline that sounds too good or too bad to be true, remember, it's probably not. And don't be afraid to question it. If the media won't slow down and take responsibility, then we, the audience, have to demand better. The truth is worth waiting for. We just have to make sure someone's still willing to tell it. If this breakdown hit home for you, hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around. We're not here for the headlines. We're here to dig deeper, uncover the facts, and challenge the narrative. See you in the next one.